do is quite varied. We develop and present exhibits and educational programs for the entire spectrum of ages. We facilitate research, we provide college internship experiences, and much, much more. Through our initiatives, collaborations, and strategic partnerships, we touch literally tens of thousands of lives locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. Overall, we are educators, expanding awareness and informing the dialogues taking place in classrooms, at community and corporate leadership tables, and within institutions of higher learning and public policy in our region, across the nation, and around the world. Before I introduce our main attraction, I want to quickly mention 3 upcoming programs that you may be interested in taking advantage of. The first is the International Humanitarian Law Dialogues. The Jackson Center has hosted the dialogues during week 10 for the past 9 years on the Chautauqua Institution grounds. This year, the 10th dialogues will take place at the end of September in Nuremberg, Germany, to coincide with that city's celebration of the conclusion of the Nuremberg trial, for which Robert H. Jackson served as architect and the U.S. Chief Prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Mark Russell.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Before I begin, I want to share something with you of a personal nature, if I may. I'm very, very happy tonight. I mean, really happy. Because yesterday, I paid off all of my student loans. But I come here tonight, this election year, to announce that I am a candidate for president of the Chautauqua Institution. This is not the first place I have run for public office. I won't tell you where the last place was, but my campaign slogan was, "Make Lilydale great again." I am running. Although it's been said that if the presidency of Chautauqua was an Olympics event, it would be javelin catching. Speaking of the Olympics, as you know, there's been a brand new Olympics event added this year, and the Americans have already won. Synchronized bathroom trashing. As president and I, we're going to put up a beautiful wall. A great wall, and Bemis Point is going to pay for it. We're going to build a wall to keep out the Amish. They're all terrorists and rapists, everybody knows that. We're going to tear down the women's club. Unless those women stop wearing their burqas when they go swimming. Only one place for a burqa around here. The Hall of Christ. We're going to bomb the hell out of the amphitheater. And we're going to get the right kind of people in my administration. Good people, fantastic people, fabulous people. People like Wayne Newton. Jason Alexander, who bombed in the amphitheater. You were my bona fides. As a political satirist in rehab. I live in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. For the same reason that the coal miner lives near the shaft. I know what you're thinking, the shaft is what you've been getting from folks. But I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. I have a winter home there. I went to Catholic school. I was 18 years of age before I knew that Protestants also played basketball. As a young man, I dodged the draft. I did it by joining the Marine Corps. After the nuns, the Marine Corps boot camp was a piece of cake. I enlisted during the Korean War, the Forgotten War. I never forgot. I was wounded during that war. I was in Tijuana, but I was wounded. Came home, raised a family. 7 grandchildren. At the time, the 5-year-old said, "Grandpa, when are you going to make a noise like a frog?" I said, "Why do you want me to make a noise like a frog?" He said, "Mommy says as soon as you croak, we're all going to Hawaii." I am proud. Have I played this yet? Cindy is saying, "We got the piano for him, why doesn't he play it?" I'm proud to have hosted a comedy show on public television. I don't know how many of you remember it. Now I do know. 36. People still remember the show. A guy came up to me. He said, "We all used to watch your shows on PMS. All right, parodies of old songs. Modern subjects, old songs. "2016 is here, and hip hip hooray! It's the election year we celebrate. Oh, what a time of joy! And may I say, oh boy, bring on the bitterness and the hate. Sling in the mud, that's what I enjoy the most. Dividing ourselves with insults unfurled. So let's have a round of beer for the bully who's revered, embarrassing our country round the world. With peace and love, election year tranquility fills our heart and let us have no negative disputes. All the candidates reflect this time of cheer, except the one who makes me want to puke. 2016 November, bring it on! A campaign with no one to trust. But we're the greatest, we're the nicest, and despite the ISIS crisis, the only thing we have to fear is us. Look in the mirror, the only thing we have to fear is us. 2016! My reliable sources, 2 bartenders in Buffalo, tell me that half of the American people believe that our best days are ahead of us. Ahead of us. If neither candidate wins. For example, if both presidential candidates were to take a lie detector test at the same time, the polygraph machine would explode. So we've had 2 political conventions. We'll take them in order. Chronological order. Republicans met in the city of Cleveland. They had an area for the demonstrators. They expected trouble. Ohio State Police were stalking a heavily armed demonstrator who turned out to be the governor of Ohio, John Kasich. He's the Republican governor of Ohio, and the Republicans are meeting in Ohio, and he didn't show up. None of the prominent Republicans, the entire Bush family didn't show up. The Romney family didn't show up. John McCain did not show up. The other senator from Arizona didn't show up. He said he had to mow his lawn. So the first speaker at the convention was good old Rudy Giuliani, and Giuliani was talking, and it was soon obvious that he forgot to take his distemper shots. Next speaker was Melania Trump, the wife of the nominee. She she was speaking, it was soon obvious that she had plagiarized a speech made a few years earlier by Michelle Obama, especially when Melania said that she first met Donald when he was teaching law at the University of Chicago. There was plagiarism the next day. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie laid out a legal case against Hillary, haranguing the audience, guilty or not guilty, you're not guilty. Without the next point, guilty or not guilty, guilty, and he kept going on and on, guilty or not guilty. So Christie obviously was plagiarizing Pontius Pilate. But the high point of the convention, obviously, was the acceptance speech by the nominee, Donald Trump. It was a tough speech, strong speech, powerful speech. Proud, loved it. Especially because in that speech, Trump finally appeared to be presidential. President Mussolini. Scary speech. How scary? I hid under the bed for days. How scary? Outside the hall in Cleveland, Lake Erie froze. But he laid out what it was going to be like next January 20th. He's sworn in as president of the United States. Come January 20th, we won't have to lock our doors anymore. Come January 20th, the flowers will bloom, the birds will sing, there'll be no more crime, and everybody gets a chocolate chip cookie and a puppy. This nation will have a new birth of freedom. I just coined that phrase. This nation will have a new birth of freedom. And the Republican Party will have a new logo. Ted Cruz's head on a spike. And that's when we realized that the choice of Trump's running mate as Indiana Governor Mike Pence was a good choice. Because as Trump was getting more and more wild and off the rails, they had to put a governor on him. Donald Trump was not the first businessman who had never held public office to be nominated by the Republicans. They did it years ago in 1940. A man named Wendell Willkie, never held public office, a businessman. He ran against Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was the toughest race FDR ever had. In the middle of the campaign, Roosevelt's people came to him and says, "We got the goods on Willkie." No, we found out he's got a mistress. Yes! Roosevelt said, "Let it go, boys." Democrats met in Philadelphia. Their convention went very, very smoothly, if you don't count the Russians breaking into Democratic headquarters. We've seen this movie before. They hacked the Democratic National Committee. The Russian hacker was a man named G. Gordon Litsky. So the tickets are well balanced ticket for the Democrats. It's a apparent romance of Crooked Hillary and Citizen Kane. Now, Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia, first thing we learned about him was how very, very fluent he is in Spanish. Or as Trump would put it, he speaks good rapist. So, there was a surprising speaker there at the Democratic convention, a four-star Marine Corps General, John Allen. And he was haranguing the crowd, and he was plagiarizing the actor George C. Scott in the movie Patton. And so General Allen is head of a group called Marines for Hillary. I suspect he's the only member of Marines. But the speaker we all remember, and everybody's talking about, is Mr. Khan. He and his wife, Mrs. Khan, and their son was an Army captain. He was killed in Iraq. And this gave Donald Trump an opening. He could show disrespect to the Khans, thereby alienating the military, who have many military bases in strategic electoral states. Perfect! Hillary's speech, what can I say? Every Democratic acceptance speech back through the decade. Every one of the Democratic acceptance speeches can be boiled down to 6 words. You want it? You got it. And she said, on your way out, don't forget to pat Bernie Sanders on the head. Bernie, your dream will never die. So let me quote a famous word from our friend Uncle Joe Biden. American people have to decide which candidate has the better malarkey. That's Joe Biden's favorite word. Bunch of malarkey. It's an Irish Gaelic word meaning bullshit. As people ask me, say, well, how has politics changed since I first started doing it? How has the material changed? Well, I think the biggest change is that the issues today are so touchy, so sensitive, too hot to handle. Well, I gotta handle them, but there's so many of these controversial issues today, I have to double up on them to save time, so how do I do that? Bill Cosby and Donald Trump go into a bar? No. Seated at the bar is Sarah Palin. Cosby gives Sarah a drink. When she wakes up, she endorses Trump. I can't keep up. Bill Cosby and Hillary Clinton go into a bar. Cosby gives Hillary a drink. When she wakes up, they're both in prison. By the way, did you know that Steven Spielberg is writing a movie about Hillary? What would it be called? Steven Spielberg writing a movie about Hillary? Saving Private Emails. Oh where have her messages gone? Oh where can they be? They were erased from her server at home, the emails of Hillary. She testified she deleted them all, like the burning of tapes, and what's worse, for convenience sake, oh give me a break, 2 phones would not fit in her purse. However, Hillary, oh Hillary, unindicted, that's Hillary, she's hoping to be the next prez. Her manner was queenly, was she careless? Extremely, that's what the FBI said. Their charges were rough, but not rough enough to indict her for all her past sins. The question was what was top secret or not. She'll have plenty of time to learn if she wins. Tra-la-la. Hillary, oh Hillary, hold your breath, vote for Hillary. The lesser of 2 evils, that's true. That makes Trump the evil of 2 lessers. Sooner or later, the red states would hate her. Some blue states just said, well, she'll do. After months on the stump, if she beats Trump, all her dreams realized and fulfilled. She'll be free at last of all baggage past, except for subpoenas from Capitol Hill. We are paying for all those Inspector Clouseaus who keep digging for clues in the dark. It's their big undertaking, a martyr they're making. It's Trump versus Joan of Arc. Got a match? It's Trump versus Joan of Arc. People are always asking me all year long, I said, is Trump giving you enough material? I said, no, he's charging me for it. Would have been nice if a year ago he made one speech and put all of his garbage in one speech. Get it all out of the way. One speech a year ago in which he insulted John McCain, said the Mexicans were rapists, accepted the support of the Klansman, David Duke, said that women who get abortions should be punished. That Japan should have nuclear weapons, like even for Hiroshima, I don't know. Racially profiled, a federal judge, bragged about the size of his hands, not to mention his penis, and I'm sorry I mentioned it, and disrespected the Gold Star family. And why should we let the man anywhere near the nuclear button when he's missing so many buttons of his own? The other day they gave him a national security briefing. Give him the top secret classified information, wonderful. I hope they gave him misinformation, just keep us out of trouble, right? Mr. Trump, we're worried about Liechtenstein. The 11-year-old crown prince of Outer Mongolia been hanging around with Kim Jong-il, North Korea. They play Legos together. But I have high hopes. I think it'll be all right because as Trump becomes more self-absorbed, more full of himself, he will explode. An unlimited source of natural gas without fracking. But I will take the high road with Mr. Trump. I will not stoop to his level. I will deal with him with sophistication and nuance. Sophistication and nuance. Oh, Trump is humping the country from sea to shining sea. Trump is humping the country. He's humping you and he's humping me. He said to make America great again. His supporters have faith where it's at. How can he make America great again? By sewing more slogans on more of his hats. Trump is humping the country. He's humping you and he's humping me. Said to build a wall to keep the Mexicans out. From the Pope he got a rebuke. But if we keep all the Mexicans out, who'll clean our houses and who'll pick our fruit? Trump is humping the country. He's humping you and he's humping me. He was born in a little log penthouse. His mama taught him never to brag. And now he's supported by Christie. What we have here is matching gas bags. I know my song's a little bit vulgar with that humping analogy. But if you wake up in November and you've been humped, don't come crying to me. Hump! We march to this different drummer. If it's Trump, it will be a bummer. He has all the charm of a weekend in Pyongyang. Have you noticed how he let poor Paul Ryan hang? He can't fix what you think needs fixing. This is sick. I'm missing Nixon, and so you know just where I'm coming from. Have we gone insane, going down the drain in a spin? And if this guy wins, Canada, here I come. He's the pitch. 7 times 11 if he quits. There's a God in heaven, don't delude yourself into thinking he'll suffice. He's a royal pain, he's a big migraine, he's the Antichrist, he's a fool. A well-known liar, he's as cruel as a pet shop fire. Or am I overkilling with my verse? Have I gone too far? Below the bar? Am I too unkind? Can I read your mind? You're thinking Hillary is worse. Canadian citizen to win the Iowa caucuses. Well, you say he has dual citizenship. Yes, he has dual citizenship with Canada and Pluto. I miss Marco Rubio, senator from Florida. Trump called him Little Marco. There's Republican camaraderie for you, right? Little Marco. Republicans threw him under the bus 2 years earlier when Rubio came out in favor of immigration reform. The man is a proud son of Cuban immigrants. But the party sent him a message: we'll give you the nomination, Marco, but we have to deport your parents. I miss Jeb Bush. It was supposed to be Jeb Bush in the American way of a royal dynasty. His campaign hit rock bottom one time. Jeb's making a speech. He had a nasty heckler in the crowd who yelled out, "Get off the stage! It's over!" Jeb said, "But mother!" Don't but mother me. Go to your room. I miss Dr. Ben Carson. God bless him. Soft-spoken, kind of shy, intense, creepy. A brain surgeon, which means he's smart, right? I thought so. Until he started saying things. Like when heterosexual prisoners come out of prison, they're automatically homosexual. And that we should never, ever have a Muslim president. And that if everybody had a gun, there never would have been a Holocaust. Which proves you don't have to be a brain surgeon to be a brain surgeon. And on the other side of the aisle, I miss Bernie Sanders. It's quite a phenomenon. Young people loved him. We treated it as a spectacle of 20-somethings flocking around a 74-year-old. A classic case of Common Core math. I remember thinking if Bernie seduces many more young people, they're going to have to give him his own parish. People say, well, you can't make this stuff up. They try making stuff up. They have television shows, series, and cable, Netflix, Bob Washington, House of Cards, starring Kevin Spacey. And of all the creepy characters Kevin Spacey has played in his career, the role of President Frank Underwood is the creepiest. You haven't seen House of Cards? Let me tell you what it's all about. This show, House of Cards, is all about a place called Washington. A cesspool where pigs wallow, but hey, it's all in fun. And a President Frank Underwood, a sleaze, a snake, pure scum. He makes Machiavelli look like Thomas Jefferson. This House of Cards is fiction. Isn't true, let me be clear. Manipulating and conniving, it could never happen here. Call me Pollyanna, but I don't buy that plot. Next thing you know in Washington, they'll be legalizing pot. Frank Underwood's job description. He just moves the sludge, brings the lambs to slaughter, and he squashes them like bugs. The critics say the show brings politics to low regard. No, the people hated politics long before the House of Cards. Congratulations, Netflix. The show's a hit. Knock wood. The people wanted leadership. They got Frank Underwood. Like I said, the show is fiction, an imaginary plot. But for real-life presidents, Kevin Spacey has a shot. House of Cards. A birth certificate. To go to the bathroom. In North Carolina. The only alternative is to go to the bathroom in South Carolina. North Carolina is a great state. I have family there and I love them dearly. But I must do my job. Here's a fact you must assume to use the powder room in Carolina. If you're gender, you have trans, have your birth ID in hand or they will find you. If you are now a woman, the governor does not care. He said, now use the men's room. No one will bother you there. To break the bathroom laws a crime. Where do politicians find the time? Can you perceive it? Down in old NC, bring your birth ID to pee, would you believe it? That state sure must be tranquil and at peace through and through. The cops must all look busy. So here's what they do. Hang around the bathroom stalls to see if you have balls in Carolina. When a man becomes a woman, she makes 79 cents for every dollar she made when she was a man. Now you'd think employers would be fine with the pay cut. Well, living in a time where there is a vacancy on the Supreme Court. Justice Scalia passed away earlier this year. There's been a vacancy for much too long a time. And the Republicans say, we don't care who Obama nominates, we're going to turn him down. We don't care who it is. Reject him. If Obama nominated Jesus Christ, the Republicans would say, well, there are 3 Jews on the court already. Well, things are bad. I mean, you hear that all the time. Catch the mood. Things are bad. Never seen anything as bad as this. Yes, I have, actually. It was that period between July of 1776 and August of 2016. Last few years, I felt like Rip Van Winkle waking up from a 20-year-long nap. 20 years, he wakes up, he sees the newspaper, the headline, Russian aggression, Russian military takeover, as we attempt some sort of détente with the Russians. Détente is one of those words left over from the last Cold War, which is said with détente with the Russians was like going to a wife-swapping party and coming home alone. So Mad Vlad Putin moves into Crimea and then Syria, and that's when Obama laid down a red line, and that red line is going to be on permanent display at the Obama Presidential Library. All the other red lines will be in storage in the basement. Putin moves into Crimea, tells those people, you are no longer in Ukraine, you are in Russia. And with that, a young man runs into the house, Papa, guess what? We're no longer in Ukraine, we're in Russia. And the old man says, thank God those winters were killing me. Obama warned Putin. He said there will be costs. Ooh. Everybody, ooh. There will be costs. Ooh. Translation, go ahead, Putin, make my day. You don't believe me? Ask Syria. You better be nice to me, Barack, or I'll tell Donald. Here's what Putin should have. This is his message to the world. How I miss the dear old Soviet Union. All the years that followed were a drag. Time to have a Bolshevik reunion with a hammer and a sickle on our flag. The days, my friend, without them never end. Oh, how I miss the good old KGB. When Pravda was the news, we stood in line for shoes. So when we owned half of Germany, now's the time to relive our past glory. The Russian bear is back, so give him room. Status quo in Russia, end of story. See Comrade Lenin smiling in his tomb. My name is Vladimir. Hey world, look, I'm here. Just call me Tsar. What country's next of all? It could be Latvia or Lithuania. It's deja vu. I'm putting up a wall. Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end. And now they're back just the way things are. And I'm back in the game. We will change our name. We're going back to the old USSR. Union, Soviet, Syrian Republics. We're going back to the old USSR. Hey! The great American satirist Mort Saul, the Pulitzer Prize-winning humor columnist Art Buchwald, the mathematics professor Tom Lehrer, he was the one who said that satire died. Satire died when the line between the satire and the original event is invisible. That happened. Satire died when they handed the Nobel Peace Prize to Henry Kissinger. Same thing happened, they handed the Nobel Peace Prize to Barack Obama. For, the hell was it? Kept Al-Qaeda out of Greenland. During Watergate, President Richard Nixon had a secretary named Rosemary Woods. She was the one who erased 18 and a half minutes from the incriminating White House hates. Art Buchwald said at the time that if Rosemary Woods had been Moses' secretary, we only would have had 3 commandments. When the German rocket scientist Werner von Braun wrote his memoir, he called it I Aim for the Stars. Mort Saul said he should have called it I Aim for the Stars, but I hit London. Will Rogers said if George Washington came back to this country, he would sue us for calling him the father of it. Will Rogers also said I never met a man I didn't like. Of course, he never met Donald Trump. Mark Twain worked for a couple of years in Buffalo, the old Buffalo Express. True story. The city potentates came to him one time and said, could you help us out? We're trying to build up tourism in upstate New York. Mark Twain says, well, as it happens, I'm writing a satire on the Bible. Give me $1,000 and I'll place the Garden of Eden in Niagara Falls. Now that satire of the Bible was interesting. It was so controversial that the publishers wouldn't touch it in those big Victorian times, and they decided they wouldn't be published until 50 years after Mark Twain died. And the thing in there's Letters of the Earth, and a lot of you are familiar with this, but the thing that I never thought about this, he points this out, but I never thought about the horrendous sanitation problem in Noah's Ark. John Twain's most famous statement, suppose you're in Congress, suppose you're an idiot, but I repeat myself. Now, Mark Twain and Will Rogers never had to deal with these touchy subjects that we're talking about today. Same-sex marriage, abortion, you know, there's this theory, and that I have no problem with, but as they say, that a 20-week-old fetus, 20-week-old fetus can, quote, fondle itself and feel pleasure, unquote. Now, as I recall, in my case, it was more like 15 weeks. Now, there's a new element, there's a different kind of satire that's going on right now. We talk about satire. And this campaign notwithstanding, but in another area, specifically the New York Broadway Theater. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. Come on along, Alexander Hamilton. A Broadway show, hey, did you know? Those founding fathers sure had fun. As they sang and danced across the stage, the British would attack, only to discover that George Washington was black, as was Thomas Jefferson. A theatrical fact. Come on along, and let me take you by the hand. To take a tron, have your credit card in hand. You can pay $1,000 just to see the show today, or $850 for a Monday matinee. There's a ticket scalper in plain sight for every light on Old Broadway. In Aaron Burr, the dirty cur, moved in for the kill. Hey, Al said you'll never be on the new $10 bill. So if you want to see what happened, better save your pennies. Sell an heirloom for standing room at Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton. On that bill, and those assets would never multiply. But we are only told half a story by the historians. For example, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address was not an address at all. It was brief remarks following the main speaker that day, a man named Edward Everett. Prominent man. He had been minister to Great Britain, he'd been president of Harvard, Secretary of State, most prominent orator of his time, Edward Everett. Spoke 2 hours, followed by Lincoln's brief remark. What Lincoln actually said, his actual words were, you know, It seems like 77 years ago whenever it started that speech. That's the story. The Liberty Bell in Philadelphia got a crack in it. Everybody knows that. A crack in Liberty. We were never told that it was cracked on purpose by the Philadelphia Tourist Bureau, who said otherwise, just a freaking bell. Independence Hall, Philadelphia, a few years later, they drew up the Constitution. They never told us. They were working very hard one night. They were all stressed, tired. They needed a break. And the framers went into town, proceeded to get rip-roaring drunk, came back to Independence Hall in the middle of the night and invented the Electoral College. We can go back biblical time. Mary and Joseph. How did Mary and Joseph meet? Christian mingle. Go back to the 1500s, the Polish astronomer Copernicus condemned by the Catholic Church for teaching that the earth revolves around the sun instead of the other way around. 100 years later, the Italian astrologer Galileo condemned for the same reason. But Galileo was later pardoned. How much later? 1983. Meanwhile, Copernicus is still rotting away in hell. Back in '83, I was able to receive a copy of the Vatican's pardon. Galileo, I'd like to share it with you right now. We're so sorry, Galileo, for any harm that we've done. We confess was our bad in that matter of the sun. After all those years in prison, 3 centuries in the can. You say you're now a Lutheran. Of course, we understand, Galileo, Galileo. We understand, Galileo. When the earth came up that morning, when the sun came up that morning back in 1633, we branded you a heretic and threw away the key. Congratulations, your pardon, we know you're surprised. Your pardon's retroactive, all signed and notarized. Galileo, Galileo, it's notarized, Galileo. How can we write what clearly was wrong? Your description of the universe was right all along. Someday man will land on the sun, an epic flight, and the gate from burning up. He will make the trip at night, Galileo, Galileo. Go there at night, Galileo. Galileo, you showed courage to surrender, you refused. You're finally pardoned after falsely accused. We thought you were a sinner to make us look the fool. And you went to confession, now everything was cool. We hope our feelings move on, look ahead. At last you're a free man, even though you're dead. Though you are dead, Galileo, amen. People often ask me, I get this all the time, how do you remember all that stuff? I say, remember what? Well, there are ways to keep your memory sharp. Crossword puzzles, there are over-the-counter products that help. What I do is see if I can get through a rather complex song that I call 44 POTUSes, POTUS, President of the United States. And in this song, you get really the entire history of our country in 2 minutes. So wish me luck. Here we go. 44 POTUSes. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Jane Madison, Jane Monroe, John Quincy, Adam Jackson, and Van Buren. William Henry Harrison caught a cold and he was done. Then John Tyler, Tippecanoe, Jane Camp Polk, how do you do? Zachary Taylor, call him Zach. Millard Fillmore, what a hack. Franklin Pierce, who was he? Jane Buchanan, obscurity. Who's next? I don't recall. Oh my gosh. I've hit the wall, been a snag in my song. Come back later, move along. Johnson, Grant, and Rutherford Hayes, these fellas meant no harm. But at last for James A. Garfield, the poor man bought the farm. Chester Allen didn't go far. Mama, where's my pa? Grover Cleveland, White House, ha ha ha. Another Harrison named Ben. Who's next? Grover Cleveland. What again? William McKinley, no, don't shuffle off to Buffalo. San Juan Teddy making history. Big Bill Taft, fatter than Christie. Woodrow Wilson went to war and Warren Harding was a bore, and Calvin Coolidge, you can trust it. Herbert Hoover, Wall Street bust. FDR had the longest stay. Harry Truman, bombs away. Ike was a general, as you know. JFK knew Marilyn Monroe. LBJ wrote the voting rights book. Richard Nixon was a crook. Ford's time in office kind of quick. Didn't help when he pardoned Dick. Jimmy Carter, the peanut man. I bet he wishes that he never heard of Iran. Ronnie Reagan from the start always seemed to be acting the part. Bush 41 had a presidential son. Number 43, the war botching won. Under 42, the economy was sound. Clinton balanced the budget, but he ran around. 44 ends my drama, the jury's still out for Barack Obama. Wait a minute! Who did I leave out? Abraham Lincoln, our greatest POTUS. I left him out on purpose, just to see if you would notice. I made it. Thank you very much. I cannot believe there's anybody in here who has not made up his or her mind. What we do, we pretend the election is tomorrow. We will name the candidates. When we come to the one that you're going to vote for, all you do is applaud. You're supposed to call. It did not escape my attention that some of you voted twice. Are you originally from Chicago? A lot of you are here perhaps with somebody with whom you disagree politically. Perhaps you cancel each other out when you vote. Well, we're going to have you look into each other's eyes with love. We want to close out tonight in freedom with love. Love and compassion as you look into each other's eyes and you sing together. You know this song. You know the chorus of the song. You and I have a different view. This is your part. But I can't help falling in love with you. You ready? Here we go. You and I have a different view. Everybody. But I can't help falling in love with you. Great. My state is red and yours is blue, but I can't help falling in love with you. I am conservative. You belong in a zoo, but I can't help falling in love with you. Turn it around. I am liberal. You belong in a bigger zoo, but I can't help falling in love with you. I'm running out of rhymes. You are an American. I was born in Peru. I can't help falling in love with you. You are an Arab. And I'm a Jew. And I'm having trouble falling in love with you. I am gay. I suspect you are too. Big finish. I can't help falling in love with you. So what about me? Well, I've decided I'm voting for Hillary. Oh, my GOP friends, hear them grouch. I opposed her before, but this year no more, 'cause I'm so tired of sleeping on the couch. Now my marriage is saved, thanks to Hillary. My wife thinks she's great, that's my test. That's my only reason. In this silly season, is she qualified? I could not care less. It's now so peaceful at home, thanks to Hillary. I now trust her, as does my spouse. This year Hillary is likable to me. It's written down in my new marriage vows. Now suppose you're for Trump over Hillary. That's all right. And you're ruling her out, and that's that. Well, neither one is a saint. Mother Teresa, she ain't. But you're for Hitler. Good luck with that. Heil Donald! Yeah, for Hitler. Good luck with that. Oh. And I think what happens, he will be sworn in as president next January 20th. And then on January 21st, the Republicans will begin impeachment proceedings. And so in that climate, what we should do is recall the man we honor tonight, Robert H. Jackson, and take his most famous ruling, his most famous statement, and shove it down the throats of the Trumpers and all the countries of the world, because this exemplifies what we're supposed to be about around here. If there's any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, shall prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, or religion, or in matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. Amen. Can I have an amen?
Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.